If you've decided that you're going to edit your own episode, you're also going to have to export your files from your editing program when you're done, save the file, you export it and save it at the same time, and then you're going to have to take your file and upload it somewhere, right? Because people have to access it somewhere. You have to get it from your computer somewhere on the internet so people can consume it. So I'm going to really quickly show you the basic concepts of doing this so you know what needs to be done. And again, for this example, we are using Adobe Audition. And the first thing that we're going to do, this is our timeline, and we've gone through, we've edited our entire show. And then what I typically do is I will highlight all of the files. So I just did Apple A to highlight everything. Then I come up to File and I export. And then I go to entire session because yes, I want everything that's included in this. Now here's what you need to keep in mind. A lot of times your editing program will have presets. It'll say, this is what we recommend for podcasting. And it'll kind of break things down for you, and that's really helpful. Generally speaking, you want to make sure your files are exported as an MP3, because when you do the next part, which is the upload process, you need to make sure that it's an MP3 so your podcast host provider will take the file and everyone will be able to hear it properly. The next thing you need to be mindful of is how big your file is. So you may need to adjust some things, because keep in mind, however big this file is how much space it's going to take up on someone's computer if they decide to download it. And even if you're using like Apple Podcasts to listen to podcasts, you are not streaming podcasts on Apple Podcasts. If you subscribe to something, it actually is downloading to your device. So perhaps it's to your computer, perhaps it's to your phone, your tablet, whatever it is that you're using. So when you export your files, you need to be mindful of the fact that this is going to take up some room in someone's hard drive. And you want to keep them as small as possible without it negatively impacting the overall quality of the episode. So most of these systems have the ability for you to go through and change some of this. This can get very techy, I understand. And this is, right now this is exporting the entire project, right? So all the files that I dragged in and everything that I cut up, I have it exactly the way I want the episode to be. It's exporting everything into one MP3 file that I can use to upload. And this kind of titled it something kind of crazy. So I'm going to title it something else. Let's say this is for my Preggy Pals episode, and this is episode 105. You can add some keywords as well. So it basically gives you an idea what the episode is about without you having to look it up. So now we have the file on our desktop, but how do we get it out there so everyone can listen to the episode? That's done through a podcast host provider, which we talked about in a previous video. The podcast host provider stores all of our media files as well as our episode titles, descriptions, and all of that, and it sends it to Pandora, Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia through an RSS feed. But the first step is you've got to get your content from your desktop. You have to go to your podcast host provider, create a new episode, upload the media, write an episode title, your description, and any additional information it asks for. And then most podcast host providers give you some options on how you want to publish the episode. You could publish it right then and there. You could save it as a draft. So let's say you don't have all the information. Maybe you have the episode title, but you don't have a description ready yet. So you can save it as a draft, or you can schedule it for release at another time. And this is what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to get in the habit of recording your episodes way before you need to release them, and really working on your episode titles and descriptions, uploading all that information to your podcast host provider, and then scheduling it for release at a later time. What I'm currently doing with my podcast is I make sure everything is done at least a week ahead of schedule. And then on Sunday is the day that I schedule everything that's going to release that following week. I schedule all of that on Sunday. So if an episode's going to release on Monday, I'm scheduling it on Sunday. Tuesday, scheduling it on Sunday. That way I don't have to worry about going in and publishing episodes on the exact date that they're supposed to release. So that's a really helpful tip.